I'm really out of practice.
Take a breath.
Okay.
Slow it down.
It's a Leica. Couldn't tell though because it's missing a red dot. There's a lot of other things this camera is missing. This is the Leica M10-D. What the D stands for, couldn't tell you. This is a Leica M10. M10 specs all the way, but look at this. They forgot a rear screen. Why? The Leica marketing guys were thinking, well, you know, there's a group of people, a niche inside a niche, inside a niche, inside a niche, an experiential group of people that are looking for the Leica experience, the true Leica experience. I mean, they even put a film advanced lever on that absolutely does nothing. It's supposed to be a thumb rest, which is kind of cool. It works well as a thumb rest. This is a camera where they took a lot of things away. When the M10 was introduced, I was invited to New York by Leica and given the Leica M10 to use for a day. And in today's time, I'm very dubious of a camera that doesn't have autofocus 20 frames per second and all the different auto modes and things that we've come to expect of the digital cameras these days. But I went out and took the Leica out and had some fun with it. And literally, I think that's the thing that I remember most is once I got past the fact that I had to work for my shot, I had to focus it, I had to figure out my exposures, had to do all those things, I actually had fun taking pictures with it. Now, one can say, is the fun worth $8,000, $9,000, $10,000? I guess it depends if you can afford a camera like this, maybe it is. I really love Leicas. I was brought up on Leicas. But there is a point of, for me, common sense return. And I buy so many cameras, and the cameras are so capable, I have to ask myself, what is it that I'm truly looking for? And for a Leica user, you're looking for that experience. And I think that's the real beauty of the Leica. So anyway, let's talk about this camera and what I think Leica was looking at. You can see it's got a complete top that if you didn't know any better, you'd say, wow, that looks like a film camera. You got a film advance lever, you got film rewind knob, you got all those things that look like that. There's no other buttons on here whatsoever. And it almost looks like the film reminder dial you used to have on the back of the older cameras. And essentially this dial is Wi-Fi on or off with an exposure compensation knob. So here you go. I just set my ISO, which I have on auto right now. And I set my shutter speed. I pull out my fake film advance lever, which is a thumb rest. I manually focus and I take pictures. So the top of this camera is rather unusual. There's a custom button here, and a knob built into the back thumb area here, all of which really you can't see how they do anything because without any kind of feedback, you don't know what's going on. So in that case, you put on a VisiFlex finder. Now this is basically turns your camera into a digital camera, more or less. You still have no buttons to set anything with. You have no way to format a card, but when you put this on and turn the camera on, I can look through it and I can perform focus. It has focus peaking. Yeah, Michael's looking really good right now. I do get a digital feedback for the mode I'm in, which is manual. The ISO, exposure compensation, shutter speed, and how many exposures are left. So you do get some sort of feedback inside this Visio finder. And if I push the shutter button halfway down and turn the focus knob, I can go into automatic zoom and see an enlarged vision with focus peaking. So I do have some control there in regards to that. However, the main way they want you to connect this camera and do controls is through the mobile device and the Leica Photos app with an F, F-O-T-O-S. So using the Leica Photos app, I come in here and I will select this particular camera I'm using, which is, and we'll select the M10-D. And then there's a little barcode. And you open up the bottom of the camera and you push the scan QR code. and the camera is added successfully, as you can see. You put the bottom plate back on, and voila! I now have all the pictures that I've been taking showing up as thumbnails. I've taken a number of shots of Michael while he's getting ready, and I can just click on the shot and I can zoom in and experience it. I can double tap and zoom in and view things at 100%. And I can actually now pick how I want to send something. So if I want to send a bunch of JPEGs, it now prepares them, and I can share them on social media. I can download them into the iPad itself. I can email them or message them out. There's all sorts of different connections here that allow me to do those things. So the app is pretty cool in that sense, and I've always wanted an app that allows me to do those things. In addition, I can do remote control. So you can set your shutter speed, your ISO, do almost all the normal kind of things that you would like to do, and just by pushing the button you can take your exposure, and the exposure shows up. It's kind of a cool implementation of the app, and it allows us to do some fun stuff with it and see our images. But let's talk about this camera again for a minute. And I like Leica, okay? The camera's heavy though. There's been so many new cameras launched recently at very, very reasonable prices. I mean, we're talking $2,000 getting a camera that does, 15 frames, 12 frames, 11 frames per second. There's a lot of choices out there. There is no branding. Why? I don't know. At least they could give you, for example, the Red Dot as an optional add-on. So if I wanted to put it on there for prestige, I could put it on there. If I want to take it off for being discreet, I could peel it off. So I kind of miss my Red Dot, especially when you think that this camera costs $7,995 US. And that's for the body alone, that you would get something with it. Not having the screen really bothers me. I'm going to be very honest with you. It's one thing you take away my screen, but don't take away my histogram. In today's world, I don't want to wait till I get home, or I don't want to have to pull out my app specifically if I'm trying to be discreet on the street and shoot street pictures and have to use my iPhone to see if I'm actually getting the shot. So I have difficult time with this. I suppose you could say I'm not the niche in the niche for this kind of camera. I want to be able to see that I've got the shot. I want to be able to zoom in and see that I've got the focus that I want. I want to be able to have the number of frames per second so that I can actually capture the moment. For example, if I was trying to photograph a girl skipping over or a little boy skipping over a puddle, I'd want to have those multiple frames per second, because somewhere there's going to be just that one moment where that splash takes place if their foot lands in the puddle. And at the shutter speed that I'm working with here, maybe I can't get it. It is a quiet shutter, so I mean, if you're looking to be discreet, it does a nice job. I mean, can you even hear that? But, I can't format a card. I can't select whether I want a JPEG or a DNG and a size. I can if I have my mobile device, but what happens if I don't have my mobile device? What happens if I want to just take my camera and go out to dinner and don't want to have to get my mobile device out just to switch on certain features for this camera? Bottom line is this: if you've got $7,995 US that you want to spend on a body that's missing a red dot and a screen on the back, then this camera might be for you. For me though, the M10 is the direction I'm headed. I've got the screen, I've got my controls, I've got a really nice menu system. They've done an excellent job on the M10 with the menu system. This one just takes too many of the things that I've come to love away. You just don't take my rear screen, and you never take my red dot away. Hey, Kevin Raber here.
I'll see you.
Thank you. I'll see you on the Luminous-Landscape. I hope it's good, Michael. When I get my film back, I'll let you know.